Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Daniel. I'm a linguist by passion and profession, and today I'm going to talk about a language that you've probably never heard of before. In this lesson, we are going to look at simple verbs. This is the first part because it would be too long if I included everything that one could say about verbs in Wagiman. The interesting thing about this language is that there are only 43 simple verbs. So how can you express everything in the language with just 43 verbs? You cannot possibly express all concepts in the world with just 43 verbs. How would that work? Well, the trick is that there are simple verbs and complex verbs. So some examples here. Come, go, take and get would be simple verbs. Dinya, Yangi, Gandhi, Mayi. However, other concepts like cut, give, walk and sit cannot simply be expressed by a single word. So if you ask a Wagiman speaker what is the word for cut in Wagiman, they would say 𝗪𝗴𝗶, or they would say 𝗪𝗴𝗶 buni, and maybe some people would say buni. If you ask a Wagiman speaker what's the word for give, you could possibly get 3 different answers. One would be Lutta, the other one would be Nawandi, and the next answer would be Lutta Nawandi. For walk, normally the answer would be 𝗪𝗴𝗇. But 𝗪𝗴𝗇 needs to combine with the verb Yangi, which you can see on the left side. So what you're actually saying is go walking. And sit is technically dupa, but you cannot simply use dupa in a sentence. It needs to combine with another verb, ningin. So this is the difference between simple verbs and complex verbs in Wagiman. However, this is not the end of the story. So in this slide, you can see that even the simple verbs consist of 2 elements, and the complex verbs consist of 2 words, each of which consists of different parts. So let me explain them a bit. So the verbal root for come is just di. When you want to cite the verb out of context, like in English to come or to go or to take, to get, then you use a certain suffix in Wagiman. This suffix is actually the past suffix. So when you're saying dinya, what you are really saying is he was coming. Same for go, what you're really saying is he was going. Gandhi actually means he was taking, and Mayi actually means he was getting. A Wagiman speaker would not say the verb for take is ga. That doesn't exist, because ga is just the root itself. And you need to stick a lot of things around to get it working. With the complex verbs, you see that the first part here is some kind of the real semantics. So 𝗪𝗴𝗇 is actually the word for cutting. Lutta is actually what tells you it's about the giving. 𝗪𝗴𝗇 is the walking, and dupa is the sitting. So these behave a bit more like nominals, and you need to add a real verb at the end. So what we call them is a coverb and a verb construction, or a coverb construction. We're going to talk about complex verbs much later. Now we want to focus on the simple verbs. So we already know dinya, come, yangi, go, Gandhi, take, Mayi, get. Now we learn 3 more of them. Buni, hit, gena put, 𝗟𝗲 fall. And I've already told you that the suffix indicates the past tense. So as you can see in this slide. But this is also not the end of the story, because there's not just one past tense, there's another past tense. So this is more like the simple past, and then there is a past perfective. So the difference between these two groups is a bit like in English, he was taking would be the left side, and he took would be the right side. So the perfective is normally used when something has been completed in the past. The other form on the left side, the simple past, just tells you that it happened in the past, no matter whether it's completed or not. But the forms on the right hand side normally really tell you it did happen and it is completed. Now let's take a look at some real life examples. If you remember way back in the first and also in the second lesson, I had already used some verbs, but I just didn't explain how they would work. So now here you will see how these verbs are constructed and what they do in the sentence. So let's take this example. That man was coming. 𝗟𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗺. You see that the verb di has a suffix nya, which indicates the past tense. The next one is that man was going. Again, you can see 𝗟𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗺 doesn't change. 𝗟𝗲𝗍. Ya is go, gi is the suffix for the past here. That man fell would be in Wagiman 𝗟𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗺. I have indicated here with colors that fell is more like a completed action. It happened once and then it's done. It's not like the man was falling all the time. That would be different. 𝗟𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗺, for example. But here we have the past perfect form. That man fell. Okay, but we also need to talk about other people, not just about that man, he or she, that child. We want to talk about myself, you all. How do we do that? So in the first lesson, we already had some pronouns, but I had told you that these pronouns are not always used and they can be dropped because the verb already tells you who the subject is. It also tells you who the object is, but we're going to talk about that a bit later. Okay, now how would you say these things like I was coming, you were going stuff? You simply add a prefix here. So saying I was coming, so if you want to say I was coming, you add the prefix nga and still have the suffix for the past tense. 𝗟𝗲𝗻. You were going is 𝗟𝗻𝗍. For the third person, there is no such prefix. You simply have a zero prefix. So he was taking is 𝗟𝗏. You and I were getting has a special prefix 𝗟𝗻𝗻𝗍. So you use the prefix ņin to say you and I together, or the two of us. 𝗟𝗏𝗎𝗍 means we all were hitting. I have added this suffix 𝗟𝗏 here to indicate that I don't mean you were hitting, because as you can see in the form 𝗟𝗻𝗍, the second one, the prefix is the same as for the first person plural, we. So to make the difference a lot clearer, you can add 𝗟𝗏, which basically means all together. Then in the second plural, you all were putting, you have another prefix again, 𝗟𝗏𝗻𝗋. And then the third person plural is also very interesting because you take the plural marker ba here, and before that there is a zero suffix from the third person, the one you used for he and she. You will see a bit later why this is important. So they were falling is 𝗪𝗴𝗶𝗺. These translations only make sense for the intransitive verbs, those that don't take an object. no, because you normally wouldn't say something like he or she was taking in English. You normally need an object. So taking what? The interesting thing here is in Wagiman this is already implied. You don't need to add it or him or something, because for the transitive verbs the object is already there in the sentence, but it is just not written, it is simply implied. So when you say Gandhi, it already means he or she was taking him or her or it. 𝗪𝗴𝗶 already means the two of us, you and I, were getting him or her or it. 𝗪𝗴𝗶 means we all were hitting him or we all were hitting it. And 𝗪𝗴𝗏 means you all were putting him, her, or it. So for these verbs, you don't need to specify the object if it's the third person. Of course, you would need to specify it if you wanted to use another object, but we're going to talk about that a bit later. Now let's have a look at other real-life examples with the new forms that we've just learned. He or she was taking that child. Gaan waren Gandhi. Very simple. Gandhi means he or she was taking. English, it is so long. The zero prefix here means he or she. The suffix ndi means past, and ga is the verb take. We can change the person very easily here. I was taking that child would be gaan waren nga Gandhi. And you were taking that child would be gaan waren ngi Gandhi. Simple, right? Now we want to change the one past tense to the other past tense. So this is you were taking that child, but if you wanted to say something like you took that child, so it was completed in the past, gaan waren ngigang. You can see that the prefix for you is still the same, but now the suffix has changed. Let's change the verb. You hit that child in the past, but only once. You were not doing it the whole time. Then you could say gaan waren ngibung. We change the person again, saying you all hit this dog. We also want to change the object now, because we just want to have some variation here. Ma lamara ngubung. Okay. And let's change the tense back from the past perfective to the simple past. You all were hitting this dog. Ma lamara ngubuni. Okay. And now let's change everything, all the object, the subject, and the verb, and the tense. And now we get this garadin 𝗪𝗏𝗍. The two of us were getting money. So you and I basically were getting money. Garadin 𝗪𝗏𝗍. Okay, as a summary, you can see all the forms in the past again here. We have ngadinya, I was coming. Ngiyange, you were going. Gandhi, he or she was taking him or it. 𝗪𝗏𝗍, you and I were getting him or it. 𝗪𝗴𝗏𝗏, we all were hitting him or it. 𝗪𝗴𝗏, you all were putting him or it. And 𝗪𝗴𝗏, they were falling. Now what happens if we change this from the past to the present tense? Pretty easy. So it's not like in English that I was going, I went, he goes, you totally change the verb. But what you do in Wagiman is you change the suffix and the prefix. So the main suffix for the present tense is n, just an n. Not for all verbs, but for most of them. And the prefix is generally just a G with the corresponding vowel. But for the first person, it is nga. So it stays nga, the same as in the past tense. Okay, so ngadin is I am coming. Gia, you are going. Gagan, he or she is taking him, her, or it. Ginman, you and I are getting him, her, or it. Gibungana, we all are hitting him, her, or it. Gugin, you all are putting him, her, it. And now you can see here why I use this zero prefix for the third person plural. Because you use the same prefix ga as you would have used for he and she, but just adding the plural prefix ba. So you have actually two prefixes, ga for the third person and ba for the plural. So they are falling is 𝗟𝗲𝗿. Okay, and again we want to look at some examples. So we use the same examples from before, so it's a lot easier for you to compare, because we just want to focus on the verb forms here. He or she is taking that child, in the present tense now, is 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏. I am taking that child is 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏. You are taking that child is 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏. You are hitting that child is 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏. You all are hitting this dog, 𝗪𝗴𝗶𝗺 𝗂𝗏. And the two of us are getting money, 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏. The present tense is pretty easy, I think. You only need the suffix n, then you have the verb form in the middle, and in the beginning you generally have a g form of the prefix. So here we want to compare again the past tense forms. Give me a second, and I will switch it to the present tense form here. Okay. Again, back, this is the past tense, and this is the present tense. You can stop this video here, of course, and practice these forms. And now the future tense. So if you remember, in the past, the marker at the end was really irregular. For the present tense, the marker was an N, and for the future, there is no marker. It is simply nothing at the end. In the prefixes, the past tense normally have ng, the present tense normally has a g, and the future normally has an m. Again, this doesn't apply to all forms, but to most of them. So I will come is Madi. You will go is Mia. And the future tense also works as an imperative form. So you can say Mia, that means go. Guga is he, she will take him, her, or it. Minma is you and I will get him, her, or it. Mibu is we all will hit him, her, or it. Muge, you all will put him, her, or it. But muge also means you all put that. Put, like an imperative, but to a lot of people. And here in the plural, they will fall, you can see again why I use the zero suffix way back, because again the third person gu is repeated in the plural here, and then with the plural marker ba together, 𝗟𝗏𝗿, they will fall. And now again we want to look at some examples. 𝗟𝗏 𝗟𝗏 is he or she will take that child. 𝗟𝗏 𝗪𝗏, I will take that child. 𝗟𝗏 𝗪𝗏, it means either you will take that child or take that child, because it can also be the imperative. 𝗟𝗏 𝗪𝗐 could mean you will hit that child or it could mean hit that child. Ma lamara mubu can mean you all will hit this dog, or it could mean hit this dog, all of you, hit it. It's like an imperative again, but to a lot of people. And this example, the two of us will get money, is garadin minma. Very easy with the future, right? And there are also alternative forms for the future. Sometimes people add a suffix ja. I don't know the real difference between the forms without ja and those with ja. So madi means I will come, and madija also means I will come. Some researchers have suggested that it could be like an immediate future, like I will immediately come right now, versus madi, I will come anytime in the future. But I'm not extremely sure whether this is the real difference. So if anybody who knows Wagiman better than me watches this video, I'd be very grateful for any suggestions. Maybe you have any answer what the difference between madija and madi is. Basically, you can use either the forms with ja or the ones without ja. So as you can see, they're all the same. So madija, I will come. Miaja, you will go, or the imperative go. Gugaja, he or she will take him or her or it. Minmaja, you and I will get him, her or it. Mibuja, we all will hit him, her or it. Mugeja, you all will put him, her, it, or as the imperative put. And gubarinija, they will fall. Okay. And this is the end of the first part for simple verbs. We are going to talk about simple verbs again next week. So we haven't had anything like you are watching me or he is giving it to you. These things, they're a bit more complicated. In order to get prepared for that, it would be good if you had a look at some of the most common simple verbs. As I said before, there are 43 of them, but some of them are very rarely used. So this is the list of the most common ones. It's sorted alphabetically. So you have the root form, and then you have the simple past form, sometimes with an alternative, depending on the dialect or the speaker. Then you have the past perfective form in the middle, and you have the translation into English. So what you could do is some kind of a homework or a practice for yourself is take any verb you want to use, for example, make, and you want to say something like, I was making the house. So then you could say, okay, I know make, it's dippa, was making. So then you choose normally the first one because this is the more common one. Then you would choose this one. You would get dippa plus yi. Okay, we have dippa yi. Then I was making is I. I need to remember I in the past tense. Okay, that's nga. So nga dippa yi. And then I will tell you the word for house, which is goron, G-O-R-O-N. So you could combine this. Nga dippa yi goron. I was making the house. Thank you for watching and see you next time for the next lesson in learning minority languages. Don't forget to give me a like and to subscribe to my channel to stay tuned. See ya!